This is Valley News Live at 4.
Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm Bobby Fallon. Just taking a look at our Skycam here. It has been a gloomy, chilly, and now a rainy day across the valley, and it sounds like we'll be experiencing more of the same tonight under those Friday night lights. If you're heading out to a football game tonight, let's find out what to expect. And we want to send things right over to meteorologist Jim Gash with a closer look at what we're going to be seeing. Jim?
Hey Bobby, yeah, right now we're looking at the Skycam here in Fargo, where, as you can see, it is currently raining. There is some water on the pavement, so as you head home from work, make sure you're careful driving out there. Taking a look at our satellite, you can see mostly clouds for everyone. There was a gap in the clouds a little bit in the Devil's Lake Basin, and as we look at the rain, it's moving from west to east as we move on into the afternoon. This is that area that was experiencing that little break in the clouds for a little bit, but as you can see, a lot more rain has popped up there as that break kind of fills in. We're looking at another area of rain, and that's moving along the I-20 or I-94 corridor toward Fargo, and it'll be here in about a half an hour to an hour. So we may have a break in the rainfall right now, but we'll be seeing much more rain in a little bit. Temperatures across the region right now are in the 50s and 60s. Those in the east in Minnesota are experiencing temperatures in the low to mid 50s, while out west we have temperatures in the upper 50s to 60s. We will keep seeing this rain throughout the evening, but we do have some dry coming tomorrow, and I'll let you know what you can expect with that.
All right, Jim, thank you so much. We'll talk to you in a few minutes. Well, Bermuda was buffeted by high winds, waves, and rain overnight as Hurricane Fiona passed close by. This was the scene along St. George's Bay this morning as wind and rain bands swept across the island. Fiona, which was downgraded to a Category 2 storm, passed by about 100 miles away from the island. Now, luckily, Fiona did not make direct impact on Bermuda like it did in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, where it caused extensive damage and flooding. Now that the hurricane is past the island nation, it is on track that could see it strike Canada's Atlantic coast by tomorrow. Well, new at 4, a 31-year-old Jamestown man is in jail after police say he broke into the same residence multiple times over a 2-month period. Police say they arrested Stanford Lamar Williams after finding numerous pieces of evidence after each burglary that linked him to the crimes. Police got a search warrant to a residence that belonged to Williams and found property that was stolen. Williams has been charged with 4 counts of burglary, which are felonies since the residence he broke into was occupied and the crimes were committed at night. Now, a warning tonight from a Moorhead dad following a scary situation. His daughter was hit by a car when she was walking from school last week, and he shared the video and his story with Valley News team's Courtney Lockheed to remind drivers to slow down. And you can see that tonight on Valley News Live at 9 and 10. The sergeant assigned to supervise convicted murderer Chad Isaak on the day of his death has been fired. DeAndre Adams was fired after an internal investigation showed that he did not perform proper checks on inmates on Sunday, July 31st. Officials say Isaac's cellmate left the cell for about an hour, during which time a piece of cardboard was placed in the window to obstruct the view. Adams walked past the cell during that time but did not follow procedure to remove the cardboard to check on Isaak. The cellmate returned to the cell to find Isaak hanging himself, and Adams had 2 previous disciplinary actions in his personal file. He has the option to appeal his firing within 15 working days. And Bismarck police are investigating a murder they say happened at the Motel 6 early this morning. Police say they received a report of a shooting just after 12:30 a.m. and they found a 28-year-old man dead with a gunshot wound to the chest. Police say this was a targeted attack and there is no danger to the public. Authorities are trying to figure out what happened before a train hit and killed a man in downtown Fargo. Police were called shortly after midnight to the 400 block of North Broadway. They say a possible witness called it in and officers discovered the victim's body. No other information is being released. As we continue to follow the investigation into the deadly hit and run in Foster County, the North Dakota Attorney General is now speaking out. 18-year-old Kayler Ellingson was hit and killed following a street dance in McHenry, North Dakota last weekend. The driver allegedly admitting to hitting Ellingson on purpose. Attorney General Drew Wrigley says that, quote, the loss of a young life is always a tragedy. Outrageously, in this case, it is alleged that the suspect admitted that his actions were motivated by a dispute over political beliefs. There is no place in civil society for this hateful violence, close quote. And Wrigley also says that political violence has become all too common and must come to an end. Wrigley adds the Bureau of Criminal Investigation is working on this investigation, and the Attorney General's office is assisting Foster County in this case. Family and friends are preparing to say goodbye to Cayler Ellingson after he was killed in that street dance last weekend. The visitation for Ellingson will be this Sunday at 7 p.m. at Evans Funeral Home in Carrington. His funeral service will be Monday at 1 p.m. at Trinity Lutheran Church in Carrington. A GoFundMe for the Ellingson family has reached more than $43,000. And a New Rockford bar is holding a fundraiser tomorrow to help the family of Cayler Ellingson. Buckets Bar is donating 100% of its Saturday sales to the family. The owner says Cayler was a respectful, smart, and kind man, and his death is a terrible loss to the community. Well, there was promising progress for a Minnesota football player who suffered a serious head injury during a football game in Moorhead earlier this month. Connor Erickson, a senior captain on the Brainerd football team, has been taken off of the ventilator and sedation this week. His family says he was also just moved out of the pediatric ICU. He is now receiving care in a standard pediatric room. Though they say there is still a long road to recovery ahead, this was a huge step in the right direction. And the West Fargo Fire Department says that cooking fires are the #1 cause of home fires and injuries. Departments around the area have received several fire calls related to cooking just this week. First responders urge you to cook with caution. Be alert, and if you're sleepy, don't use the stove. Stay in the kitchen while you are cooking and keep anything that can catch fire away from the stove top. Well, a 40-year-old murder mystery is getting renewed attention. In Chicago in the early 1980s, Tylenol capsules laced with cyanide were linked to the deaths of 7 people and caused a worldwide panic. Now, as Kathy Park explains, investigators are hoping to pursue new charges in the case.
We don't know the extent of the contaminations.
In September 1982, widespread panic reached the medicine cabinets of millions of Americans.
A capsule of Tylenol was laced with cyanide.
7 people between 12 and 35 years old died after ingesting extra-strength Tylenol capsules laced with cyanide and sold at stores in the Chicago suburbs.
The Food and Drug Administration is now urging consumers nationwide to stop taking Tylenol.
No one has ever been charged with the murders, though a decades-long investigation has centered around then 36-year-old James Lewis. Lewis admitted to the FBI that he sent an extortion letter to Tylenol's parent company, Johnson & Johnson, at the time. Now the Chicago Tribune reports it has obtained video and thousands of documents which outline law enforcement's current case and even what they believe is a motive for the killings. That evidence has not been reviewed by NBC News. Stacey St. Clair is one of the Tribune's reporters who spoke to a number of law enforcement sources close to the investigation.
Only one person has been described to us as the target currently.
And that's Lewis.
Correct.
Among the key findings, according to the Tribune, technological advancements allowed investigators to determine the postmark date on Lewis's extortion letter. In it, he wrote, "As you can see, it is easy to place cyanide into capsules sitting on store shelves," and demanded $1 million be wired to a bank account if you want to stop the killing. The newly outlined timeline suggests Lewis wrote the letter before the public knew the deaths were linked to tainted Tylenol pills. Still, Lewis, who is now 76, has long denied any involvement in the murders and has never been charged. As part of an ongoing investigative podcast, reporters with the Chicago Tribune were able to track Lewis down last month.
Do you have any theories on who is the Tylenol killer?
I think that's fairly obvious.
Not to me.
Ladies, you've ever asked whether something before the use of anything to do with it?
Illinois State Police tell NBC News the investigation is ongoing and that the department was involved in follow-up efforts this summer, but no new charges have been filed.